new roof, no time at all. If this sounds like you, visit roofingservicecompany.com. That is roofingservicecompany.com.
Now's the best time to lock in early order savings on a new John Deere planter from Landmark Implement during the early order program. Plant for success with the latest technology, including Exact Emerge high-speed planters that help you cover more acres with greater precision and productivity. Order your planter for next year now to unlock the biggest savings of the season. Contact your local Landmark location today and experience the Landmark difference.
An award-winning softball season deserves a celebration. Don't miss your chance to congratulate Jordy Ball in person. Join the team at Midwest Bank for a special meet and greet on July 16th at their Jamie Lane location as they recognize her incredible achievements. Bring your friends, your team spirit, and your favorite gear for Jordy to sign, and it all kicks off at 4 p.m. They can't wait to see you there. Get all the details at midwest.bank. Midwest Bank, member FDIC.
Lights out? Let LES know where to go. Powerline matches your phone number to your service address so LES can respond to outages faster. Keep your information up to date at les.com/powerline.
Are you ready for a new opportunity? Check out Sandhills Global. Join a dynamic team where your skills are valued and your career can soar. We offer full-time positions with a 4.5-day work week, competitive pay, excellent benefits, and a positive work environment. From IT and marketing to sales and finance, we're looking for talented individuals just like you. Apply today at sandhills.jobs and take the first step towards an exciting future. That's sandhills.jobs. Don't wait, apply now.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com.
On the internet.
KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. This is On the Block with Nebraska Basketball Hall of Famer and 9-year NBA vet, Eric Strickland. Nebraska Football Hall of Famer, Jay Foreman. Middle school basketball coaching legend and Duke basketball shooting coach in his mind, Austin Orman. Coming at you live from the heart of Lincoln, America. On air and online at theticketfm.com. Sponsored by the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese. This is On the Block with Eric Strickland, Jay Foreman, and Austin Orman.
Welcome to another segment of On the Block. It is Wild Wednesday. We were going to dig into some wild topics. I think we may get to it. We'll see how things flow. It is a wonderful day here in Lincoln, Nebraska. Quite hot, quite toasty. You had to get out there and do what Jay Foreman do, is hit that yard and do all of that old school. You didn't hit it today, my boy?
I didn't hit the yard. It's hot though.
It's hot. It's hot like fire.
Oh yeah, but I'm about to turn out some people's fires real quick.
He's wearing a hoodie. He says it's hot, but he's wearing a hoodie.
Right. On days like today, though, Jay, right?
Wear a short sleeve shirt.
And listen, we have Nick Sainer joining us on the block today. No Austin Orman. Austin's going to be on a slight vacation getaway for something he needs to handle. But we always welcome Nick into the building. We appreciate him. You know, he's the guy that ran a wonderful segment of the Happy Hour. And so we good to hear your voice as you come back on the block and hang out with us. How are you doing today, Nick?
I'm good, guys. Always appreciate the invite, Stricky and Jay.
Absolutely.
Always appreciate the invite.
So, Jay, tell real quick before we get into things here, all things on the block. On a day like today, when do you normally do your outside yard work? Is it early in the morning? Do you knock it out before the sun comes popping out and dropping it like it's hot, or in the evening when the mosquitoes are out starting to bite?
No, I'll do it early as possible.
Early as possible. Yeah. Prefer to just go and get it done with.
The morning is actually the worst because that's where it's the most humid.
Understood.
Yeah, I didn't realize that all the humidity comes off the corn and the crops. But the text line let us know about that a year and a half ago.
Some
learn
inside,
stuff. Learn stuff.
Well, that's what we appreciate about the
ain't a lot of
blockheads.
water in Nebraska. It's humid as all get out, though.
The blockheads definitely will let us know the details. But again, this is On the Block every day, 5 days a week, right here, 3 to 5. You can find us, and On the Block is sponsored by a tremendous organization and company by the name of The Mercado by Certified Piedmontese. You can check out their locations online at themercadobutcher.com or at any of theirs. I feel like they're ours because shoot,
I made some steak burgers.
I spent
from there
some time
over the weekend.
right. I spend a lot of time in the Mercado, but there's 4 locations. One, the main, the big boy, they're on 84th and Havelock, 30th in Yankee Hill, as well as 85th and Old Cheney in Lincoln. You can also find it at 168th and Maple there in Omaha. Go to the Mercado. Get to the Mercado as quickly as you can for the best meat in town. Why, Jay? Because it's what?
Every type of meat, every type of cut.
That's it. So yeah, let's get into it, man. We're going to talk a little bit about the Big 12. We went in yesterday, Jay, quite heavily on some of the topics that came out of there with Scott Frost.
Scott Stainer.
Easy. Are we going to be? Is this what it's going to be like today, Jay?
Exactly. You don't even got to worry about this. Ain't no passive aggressive. This is 1,000% aggressive.
Okay, there it is. Before I know we're going to talk what Commissioner Yormark said, guys. Did you hear anything that Deion Sanders, Coach Prime, said earlier today?
Missed that.
He was asked about Joey Maguire at Texas Tech, and obviously Texas Tech doing quite a bit in the transfer portal. And Deion Sanders goes, "Joey's got that money. Joey's spending that money." And so it made me think to myself, man, what are all these coaches thinking when all this is going around them? When all this is going on around them, what are they thinking about? Man, look at that coach over there. I wish I had his money. Because Coach Prime was saying at the end of his segment, he said, if he wants to share some of that, I'd more than happily take it. It made me wonder, what are these kind of conversations or thoughts going on between coaches? Not even between coaches, but coaches in certain areas that maybe won't have the type of resources or don't have a big, massive booster. It's just a fascinating thought as Media Days starts off with Big 12.
Well, before we get into Brett Yormark's discussion, let me ask that question of you, Nick, real quick. When you think about the landscape that it's in right now, right, and with now the changes, the legislation has been solidified, all these different things, collectives, how they're going to operate. This is really the first year of the new changes with the legislation and having the $20 million, basically salary cap in a sense. Do you feel as if this has leveled the playing field, or do you still think that there's more wiggle room for a little shadiness? I
think there's always going to be loopholes. And you guys will have a better idea maybe on how to combat that. But I just think there's always going to be loopholes, and coaches are always going to try to find loopholes. And we talk right now in the frame of college football specifically. However, it's going on across all sports. It is not just football where loopholes are found. Where you mentioned the salary cap, that phrase has been a popular one across the Big 12 Media Days, and we keep referencing Big 12 Media Days because it's the only conference that's had it, right? Mm-hmm. In a couple of weeks, when Big 10's going on and occurring and things like that, then we're going to be able to reference what Big 10 coaches are saying. But I think ultimately, when it's all said and done, everybody's in favor of this salary cap. And when I say everybody, I mean every single coach that they've asked, whether that's been Dave Aranda or Scott Frost for that matter, or whoever it would have been. Deion said it just a couple of minutes ago. Everybody's in favor of a quote unquote salary cap. But once again, and this is where I'll give credit to Coach Prime, is he said it's great in theory if everybody follows it. And what we've learned throughout all of this since 2021, when NIL was legal, nobody follows the rules to a T. Nobody does. Nobody's perfect. Everybody's going to always be looking for a loophole. And even if they can't find a loophole, they'll even do stuff illegally and just hope that they don't get caught.
Jay, especially being that, Nebraska is one of the cleanest programs in the nation. And, when we talk about, we've heard the stories of bags being dropped and all, fumbleias of envelopes and stuff
McDonald's
like that.
Bags and all
you know what I mean?
Jeremy Pruitt, man.
We know that, but we know Nebraska is one of the cleanest to ever do it, and still to win, even being as clean as they are. But let's, when Nick is referencing that, right? Who could you see being some of the Fulio players out there, or the Ohio players. No sentiment to Ohio State or anything like that, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't think the big schools have to do that. Just because they're going to get. Bama's got Bama kids, and they don't have to do it that much. You can see like a SMU with the oil money, and they made some noise last year getting in the college football playoffs, and they got a lot of big money boosters, maybe doing some stuff. But right now, it's not even doesn't matter what you do. There really aren't any rules, and so this is nothing new. Paying players now, it's just somewhat above board. I guess if you go outside of the quote unquote salary cap and try to finagle your way, through your collective. And it's a little bit of shady. That's where, Deloitte comes in and they have to do the accounting. But, giving people cash and tell them that they forgot a team bag or something, there's cash. I mean, that's nothing new.
Well, let's get into this Big 12 discussion. And the reason I want to get into it also is not just necessarily what Brett Yormark said, but I want to dig a little bit deeper into probably the mental, thoughts on why he would mention this. And because there's been quite a lot of talk. We've now had the new college football playoff system has been implemented, but now there's talk of expansion. Brett Yormark talks about his support for the expanded college football playoff to an 11 at-large berth. So basically a 5-11 model. And this is one of two ideas that have been floated around out there in order to enlarge the playoff scene. But with that, you have that the Big Ten and the SEC would have the potential for twice as many guaranteed bids as the Big 12 and the ACC. So then I would love your perspective, guys, on the why would he be pushing so heavily for it? Because it has to be more, even though you're at a disadvantage between the Big Ten and SEC, and it's not just money, it's not just TV rights. It's kind of how the landscape of things are shifting and where it's going. So what could be the motivation or a deeper perspective for him in looking at the expansion?
Well, I think his thought, and correct me if I'm wrong, Jay, I mean, it kind of stems from what the Big 12 and if you look at the alliances between these two, it's the Big 10 and the SEC are kind of in cahoots or partners in this, while the Big 12 and the ACC are along the same wavelength. So it's like you have the two top tier conferences going up against the next two, right? And so the reason I would imagine Brett Yormark is saying what he's saying. Well, last year there was a lot of controversy regarding the 5 conference champions automatically getting in and just jumping seats. The way that this would work is basically the 5 automatically get bids, and then the remaining teams that would fill out the playoff, you just go to the highest ranked teams. And so it kind of gives, I would imagine, partially back to the BCS model where computers get involved and you take away some of the human element, but also while trying to keep the committee decision, at least, prevalent in this. I don't know. I think it's really strange. I'll say this about Brent Yormark, though. The Big 12 a couple of years ago when conference realignment was the big deal and everything, they needed a commissioner that would be outspoken and wouldn't be worried about kind of putting his opinion on some things. And that's what they've gotten out of Brent Yormark, whether it was additional teams. I mean, he has been outspoken on thinking that the Big 12 is one of the top conferences in college football. And he continues to double down on every single idea he's ever said. And here we are talking about Big 12 pretty consistently as we get ready for the college football season.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the Big 12 last year compared to how the SEC, finished, he has more than a realistic, argument, and that's over the last 2 years. And this also goes with, Oklahoma and Texas going to the SEC and Texas winning the SEC last year. Essentially, they're a Big 12 team. So when you try to say there's a difference in football, and there is, and there is in on the top end, but overall, what he's saying, top to bottom, no. What he's petitioning for is more teams to get in at large. That means more teams for his Big 12. And he feels like if you get more than one Big 12 team that goes in, the championship team last year, and then, they can go in there and make some noise.
So let me make sure I'm hearing you guys clearly. Would you say, if there was an analogy for this, right? It's kind of like, Jay, you would definitely know. Nick, you would probably have some form of it where you go to the club, somebody has a VIP table, and the big dogs, Big 12, SEC, they got the bottle set up and everything. So you set. And it's kind of like the homeboy that kind of hooks on to you. Do you look at it kind of from that standpoint, or you got the big restaurant reservation at one of these top line steakhouses, and you just glad that you get to come along and you put yourself in a position to get more, but not necessarily you have an expectation, because really they're one of the only power conferences that only got one into the playoffs.
Right.
So is it kind of like, yeah, my guy, let me go with you and make your way into the party with the Big 10 and the Big 12 just by association, basically the Robin to the Batman type deal?
Yeah, I think the Big 12 and the ACC were a little late to the party, and I think it's a byproduct of Texas and Oklahoma leaving. Plus, down in the ACC, Miami was never relevant. North Carolina was like hit or miss, and they obviously got rid of Mac Brown. But more importantly, Clemson Tigers were on a little bit of they were good last year, right? Obviously getting into the college football playoffs, but the last few years they weren't the same Clemson, and Dabo Swinney didn't want to do anything with it. So everything that everybody else was wanting to do, Dabo was like, I'm staying put. Now it worked out for him because now it all came back where you have somewhat of a salary cap. So now he can kind of operate business as usual. But their partner, which is essentially Clemson, wasn't really willing to. You got to think Florida State had that really good year, and then they were, pretty much suing to leave. So there, you lose strength. Strength is in numbers. So your two biggest schools, right, or three, Clemson doesn't really want to participate. They want to kind of do it, their own way. Miami was, just trying to come back and showing a little bit of life. Now they're on the scene now. And Florida State had one good year, and then they tried to sue the ACC to leave. They tried to go to the SEC. So they essentially made Big Ten and the SEC's argument even stronger in their stronghold on the college football playoffs. I think if you go back and really read the tea leaves, when they had a 4-team, playoff, and you knew 12 was coming, as soon as they announced 12, 16, the number 16 came out less than a month later. So 16's on the horizon. It's just a matter of when. It's all about money. But when you don't have one team in, you lose not only money, right, from your conference, having more participants, but more importantly, you lose that piece of the pie brand wise.
That's the other part that I was going to say is it's at the end of the day money, the moolah, right? It's the more teams you get in, the more lucrative it can be for your conference. I think the Big 12 benefited obviously from the Pac-12's issues that when we were going through conference realignment. I think Brent Yormark looked at that and saw a couple of teams that he could potentially sway away from the Pac-12 because of George Kliakov's, just idiotic approach to managing the Pac-12's media right deal when that was all going on, and the Pac-12 felt like they were more valuable than they were. You kind of said, Stricky, you used the analogy of like just sitting back and being like, all right, I'm going to hang out here.
Right.
The Big 12 and I think the ACC know, all right, we're never going to be able to be big enough to where we are directly in line with the Big 10 or the SEC. However, we just need to be more important enough to where we stay in the considered top 4. And so if you're, one of them was going to eventually die off, and it turned out to be the Pac-12, partially because of their own doing and their decision making, because George Kliakov didn't want to go to the streaming media rights deal with Apple TV, and he felt like he could get more for the Pac-12 conference, and the Pac-12 conference was unable to. And so then the Pac-12 started to die off. Teams started to leave. UCLA, USC joined the Big 10 as well as Oregon. And then it just kind of starts to really unravel. And so I think really, like, once again, is as a commissioner in that moment, you had to be rather aggressive. Jim Phillips in the ACC kind of sat back, and it took him a while to get Cal and Stanford. Brent Yormark was more aggressive with Arizona State, with those types of teams that they were able to say, Utah as well. And now we're seeing it's where it's positioned the Big 12 conference to kind of be number 3 when we're looking at the top 4 conferences.
Yeah. When you look at the models, right, that have been presented, what do you feel, Jay, especially knowing the landscape of today, watching the top 25s over the last few years, seeing how the playoffs played out last year? We know that obviously the 5+11 model is one we just discussed, but there's also the one that's called the 4-4-2-2-1. And there's been a lot of pushback on that one. There's a lot of coaches, they're not really feeling that, especially the big boy brands of the SEC and the Big 12. They're not really feeling that. What do you think is a lot of the negatives with the 4-4-2-2-1 model as opposed to the 5-11? Is it because it seems to me that the 5-11 is more linked to the way it is right now? It kind of makes it a little more seamless in the transition without adding a bunch of foolishness into it.
The 5 and 11 is a little bit easier because you just go with the rankings. That's just essentially you just go hands off and like the rankings are the rankings. Now the problem with that is you could have a really good season and start out number 35 and never get into the top 16, and you should be. So then you'll have one team on the outside looking in. The 4-4-2, if I'm the ACC and Big 12. You can't do that. That's clear separation, essentially telling you 2 conferences or both of them are 2 times as more powerful and better than you. So they're going to have to find a little bit of happy medium, maybe, 3 from the 2 big dogs. But I think it needs to be like revolving. I think it should be incentive based, whatever school between the Big Ten and the SEC. Because right now, look, they are the most powerful two most powerful conferences as far as being on TV, football, games, rivalries. So whatever team wins the national championship, what conference they come from, they should get 4. The other one should get 3.
Okay.
And then divide it up
and
after
then,
that.
So, and you're saying it's a rotation based on performances from the previous year going into the next year?
Between those two, because if you did, look at the like a pie, is those two taking up majority of it, and the other 2 have to work their way up, but they can eat into it, but by getting chances to play non-conference games, better full within the conference. Because if you look at the Big 12 and look at their numbers, they had 4 teams ranked in the top 25 at the end of the year. And quite frankly, if Colorado if they didn't stub their toe down in Kansas City, it's totally different, right? And Baylor was almost in there. So, when you look at, the Big Ten, they had 5. And so if I'm ACC in the Big 12, okay, you want to start me out with 2, and then maybe ACC and Big 12, fight it out for that 3 and 2. We'll compete our way up in there. But if you set it at 4, they're not going to go back. Mm-hmm. You got to start it somewhere happy medium and make everybody work their way up. Yeah.
If it doesn't feel like we'll ever have something to where it's like, this is what we're going to have for the next 20 years.
No, this is going to change.
It's going to change year. And I mean, it might in terms of the macro and micro, like there might be a year where it's a minimal change that we don't really notice, but it doesn't feel like we'll ever get to a point, at least anytime soon, in a lot of areas. It doesn't feel like we'll ever get to a point to where we sit there and go, yeah, you know what? Everybody's happy with this. Let's just go ahead and keep it with this for the foreseeable future, for that matter.
Last thing then before we go to break is this: what does it do for your scheduling? Like,
I think we're seeing it.
You know what I mean? Like, how does it? Yeah,
I think we're seeing it. I mean, there's a reason Nebraska's not playing Tennessee. Like, I'm sure we can be told that there's other reasons. We can be told there's other things involved. But I like if you can load up your non-con with 3 home games that against Houston Christian, Akron, and Georgia Southern, why wouldn't you? Especially if you're, to Jay's point, you could start the season 30th. 1 loss absolutely kills you. You need to find wins anywhere you can get, especially if you're a team like Nebraska or a program like Nebraska where you might be a fringe team. So you got to find wins.
With them Big 12s and ACC, boy, you got to lock horns.
Yeah.
That's why you saw Clemson and Notre Dame lock up for that 10 years.
And that was what I was going to go next. Yeah. Is how is Notre Dame looking at it, or where do you think what side they come on? Because they're really the independent that hadn't had to really move on anything, but they decided they wanted to play a little schedule, definitely in the ACC, to give them a little bit more boost as far as their rating.
Yeah, they're cherry picking, but they also know their brand has allowed them not. Everybody thought they had to, especially around COVID, they had to join the Big Ten. Ain't happening. They just standing pat and they can do whatever they want. Now look, they have games every year. They play USC every year. They have games that, like they got lucky this year. I think it was either Army or Navy was ranked, and even when the other team that wasn't
undefeated ranked,
yeah, undefeated. But then the other team was really well then. So you're getting those points. You're not, it's not the 2-7 Army or Navy team where you're just beating them 60-0. And so, if they can sprinkle in Clemson, that's must see TV. It's like, hey, it's back in the day, Strick, like AAU teams. You used to hear about like New York, Riverside. They didn't really play a schedule, but you know what? They play one good game and everybody be there. And then next thing you know, you don't see them next year. That's how Notre Dame is. They're able to pick and choose what they want to do.
Well, pick and choose. And then when, for example, when the playoffs happen, they end up having success. They collect that $60 million revenue check at the end of the year. And they say, why would we ever join a conference?
Yeah.
And no, because the luxury of being able to pick and choose, it hasn't burned them yet. It hasn't burned them or kept them out of a playoff spot.
And they're never,
because even when there was 4 teams, they just got beat by Alabama.
Yeah, but they started to show steady improvement. And Notre Dame knows this. At the end of the day, they probably can join the Big Ten. And they will never do anything that they wouldn't be able to, or they can go like they were and start a few years in, at least in the majority of the sports in the ACC.
They got options.
Yeah.
Well, they can go anywhere.
Let me ask you guys this: if you're a conference, who says no?
Right. To that brand.
SEC.
Okay. Is it just out of pettiness or what?
I mean, it doesn't fit.
Okay.
And they don't need Notre Dame. They already have.
Okay, but so from the Big Ten and ACC standpoint, really, I mean, how did they? Right. To your point, Jay, of like they know they can go wherever.
Yeah, and proximity.
Yeah. Yes.
Alumni. Yeah. Notre Dame fits academic wise. I'm sure.
Definitely Big Ten.
Right.
It fits.
Yeah.
All right. Well, there it is. That will lead us to our first break here on The Block. We'll be right back. 937 The Ticket on The Block. We'll be right back.
Follow Austin Strick and On the Block on Twitter at Austin Orman, eStrick20, and On the Block 93.7. More of On the Block coming up.
People always ask me, hey, Livy, what fuels you? Passion, competition, the pursuit of greatness? None of those things. Raising Cane's is the only fuel I need. Their cooked-to-order chicken fingers always fills my tank, and the crinkle-cut fries and Texas toast are the perfect top-off for the perfect road trip. So when I'm running on fumes, I always refuel at Raising Cane's. But turns out, not everything's fueled by Cane's. Guess the old girl prefers her sauce unleaded. Raising Cane's chicken fingers. One love.
Hey there, this is Paul Scheel, owner of High Electric. I want to thank our friends and loyal customers and introduce High Electric to those looking for a new electrician. We've been serving the Lincoln and Omaha area for over 30 years, from design to install, upgrades, and repair. If you are a homeowner or a small business needing some electrical work, call us at 402-466-6606 or check us out at hyelectric.com. We look forward to hearing from you.
Lights out? Let LES know where to go. Powerline matches your phone number to your service address so LES can respond to outages faster. Keep your information up to date at les.com/powerline.
Things that impair you come in many different shapes and sizes. Some are the shape of beer and liquor bottles. Others look like cigarettes but aren't cigarettes at all. These are the things we know impair us, the things our parents warned us about. What we're not always aware of is our new prescription, or the over-the-counter medicine we picked up just for allergies or a bad cold. See, it doesn't just matter how much of a substance you take. If you are impaired, driving is deceptively dangerous. Don't drive impaired. Paid for by the NDOT Highway Safety Office.
Are you ready for a new opportunity? Check out Sandhills Global. Join a dynamic team where your skills are valued and your career can soar. We offer full-time positions with a 4.5-day work week, competitive pay, excellent benefits, and a positive work environment. From IT and marketing to sales and finance, we're looking for talented individuals just like you. Apply today at sandhills.jobs and take the first step towards an exciting future. That's sandhills.jobs. Don't wait, apply now.
Empower a child today with the Teammates Mentoring Program. Hope is only a conversation away when you choose to share your talent, time, and heart with a child. Together, you can build a relationship based on strengths and chart a brighter future, 1 week at a time. Find out how you can be a mentor by visiting LincolnTeammates.org. Become what you needed as a kid by joining the Teammates Mentoring Program today.
Mike, the insurance company wants us to replace the roof.
Wait, what? I thought everything was fine.
Yeah, it says right here our roof is too old and they won't be able to cover us anymore.
I guess it is 15 years old. Hi, I'm Austin with Roofing Service Company. We help homeowners with their roofing and siding projects. Financing options are available and we can get you under a new roof no time at all. If this sounds like you, visit roofingservicecompany.com. That is roofingservicecompany.com.
Prashawn Jackson here for Bauer Underground, who has been serving local contractors and utility contractors all across the state since 1997. When you see the black and white trucks, you know the baddest dudes in the business have arrived. Bauer is currently looking for equipment operators, laborers, diesel mechanics, and aerial linemen. Join the brotherhood built on hard work, authentic people, and pedigree of success. Bauer, a family-friendly company who reminds you, go Big Red!
Jack Russell of Farm Bureau Financial Services is here to help you protect things that are most important to you. Whether it's your home, your family, or your future, Jack Russell has the proven experience to get the job done while developing authentic relationships with you. Give Jack a call today at 402-421-9100. Again, that's 402-421-9100. Or visit one of his 2 locations in Lincoln or Seward and learn how you can excel in the complicated world of insurance. Jack Russell of Farm Bureau Financial Services, a trusted and well-respected representative since 1999.
An award-winning softball season deserves a celebration. Don't miss your chance to congratulate Jordy Ball in person. Join the team at Midwest Bank for a special meet and greet on July 16th at their Jamie Lane location as they recognize her incredible achievements. Bring your friends, your team spirit, and your favorite gear for Jordy to sign, and it all kicks off at 4 p.m. They can't wait to see you there. Get all the details at midwest.bank. Midwest Bank, member FDIC.
Now's the best time to lock in early order savings on a new John Deere planter from Landmark Implement during the early order program. Plant for success with the latest technology, including Exact Emerge high-speed planters that help you cover more acres with greater precision and productivity. Order your planter for next year now to unlock the biggest savings of the season. Contact your local Landmark location today and experience the Landmark difference.
Rosie's Sports Bar and Grill, open for lunch and dinner at 1501 Center Park Road, just south of 14th and Highway 2.
Now back to On the Block with Eric Strickland, Jay Foreman, and Austin Orman.
Back on the block. Shout out to the blockheads on the text line, 402-464-5685. Before we get into our next discussion, we add Triggy Niggy to the conversation.
I don't know if I want to be included in this conversation.
Thomas in Lincoln says the issue for the 4-4 on the Sauter Aiming text line, the issue for the 4-4 is you also drop the product and what you put on TV. If you don't like them, join them, or even better, beat them during the season is what he says. So to me, it sounds like the scheduling issue. If you want to keep your brand high, you want to put a product out on the TV. You know, there's a lot of people on other sports that are talking about, you know, how down, you know, product is and it isn't providing the ratings. So, you know, are you going to want to watch some of those non-con games the way that you watch it, or are we just past that point based on what Thomas and Lincoln is? It's really about the brand of the team at this point.
Nick, what do you think?
Jay,
Nick, why don't you tell us what you think?
What I was going to say, dang. What I was going to say is, Jay, wouldn't you think that once teams start to see the checks,
the Indiana model?
Yeah, like, well, the checks that they get when they make the playoffs, they say, okay, you know what? It's worth
Indiana. Indiana.
It's worth sacrificing game 2 of the season. For this.
I think it's all about money. I mean, coaches get bonus on it. You know, they get bonuses
for the win,
for making the college.
Making the playoff.
Yeah.
So
athletic directors get bonuses.
Yeah, everybody get. I mean, I'm assuming everybody gets paid. So it's like, hey, let's do whatever we need to do to get there.
Right.
I think what people are missing, and this indirectly and directly is answering this question. And we talked about NIL and the other stuff. It used to be the coaching profession. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Like when, like the great, Pop and all those guys, it's a profession.
Mm-hmm.
They wanted to be experts. Now it's the coaching business. It's different. We're here to get paid. We're going to coach, but we're going to get paid. And we're going to make sure everybody gets paid. So just hang tight. And my point is this. If you're in the Big Ten or in the SEC, as we saw with the, I don't know all the factors, what the reasons were with Nebraska, but you got to weigh it. Let's be realistic. You get another home game, probably, I don't know how much they make per home game, right? Doesn't matter who you're playing.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. They're going to get it. Mm-hmm.
And you'll still be in a power position as long as you handle your business during the Big Ten regular season to get in the college football playoffs. So really, when you're thinking about those two power conferences, there's not really much upside. It's almost like in a Class A team. We saw this when Pius, Nick's alma mater, decided to leave Class B. Well, teams didn't want to play them because they were in Class B. Class A teams don't get any points. Mm-hmm. You get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Now, if you're if this was me and I knew I had a good squad, like if I'm the Utahs, generally Utah, it doesn't matter, right? Because the Big 12 had a great season. I want to be known as that team that's going to take on all challengers in the non-con. And if it's against the North Carolina or somebody with some cachet or Miami or somebody like that that's looking for a come up, sometimes you got to take a big risk to get big reward.
Right.
To get up in the playoffs. And once you get there, then you can kind of change the way that you operate.
So when you think about these teams like right now, and then we're going to go to the next topic, but when you think about the teams, let's just stay with the Big 12, right? Because I'm going to transition this topic. Pretty successful.
Mm-hmm. Big 12
had a good balance of teams that were making pushes. Iowa State was looking really good.
BYU at a time.
Got there. BYU was
Colorado,
there,
obviously.
right?
Yeah.
Kansas State was kind of up and
they
down.
Finished good, yeah.
Right? So when you look at the Big 12, right? Let me just take them as a whole. And this is going to transition me because Tricky Nicky wasn't there.
Where was he?
He wasn't here when Stricky went in yesterday.
Yeah. Let's hear what Nick has.
This is part of my transition.
Yeah.
So when you look at the Big 12 conference, right? You look at these teams and you hear the purpose and why Scott Frost went back over to the Big 12.
Mm-hmm.
The balance that they had, Arizona was solid. Arizona State gets into the playoff. All of this. Where do you think a Scott Frost-led UCF team could fit with that type of balance within the Big 12?
This is an X and O's question. You go ahead, Jay.
I mean, I think they got talent down there. I don't think, their record of 4-8 is indicative of, their roster. Obviously, I think their coach was ready to leave and get to the booth, and now he's the offensive coordinator at Florida State. It's a nice cushy job. I think you fault Chip Kelly for that, right? Probably minimal, not minimal, but not the same support financially throughout the Big 12. You can't do it. Dion created his own, so that's a whole nother section. So he's all.
You think he gets better?
I think Dion gets better because I think it's an influx of money from last year. But I'm talking about UCF didn't have the financial support NIL-wise. So the coach is like, all right, I'll just go be in the booth. But then next thing you know what, now he's at an offensive coordinator position. Low pressure. Well, I'm assuming, right, with Scott coming back, no matter what choice he was, I'm assuming that just like when Kirk Cignetti took Indiana, you will have an uptick. And that's part of the reason why he came back in financial support. I think he can make some noise. Schedule, as long as the schedule, adds up. I mean, a lot of it's with the schedule. If you home and away and you get that winning feeling. But more importantly, his success is going to be just on him.
Mm-hmm.
Period.
Mm-hmm.
I know Nick's going to give his. We got 8 minutes, and I'll be sure. I went back and I said, you know what? I'm going to watch the whole thing just so I know. You can read stuff and catch it on the, the back end or whatever. And we agreed yesterday. We've been misquoted millions of times.
Millions of times. Yeah.
This dude here, man, I'll just be bluntly honest. He, as a he's a former teammate, right? I give him credit. After 96, to come back and play the way he did in 97, that's commendable. National championship, and was a leader on offense. But that was a defensive-led team, period. Amon and the defense, okay? That's just the way. I'm just being bluntly honest. He was a quarterback. What Scott is that this is the first time he's ever faced, like, adversity, period. The first time he's ever lost in anything, really, because it's either he was out in Wood River, which essentially he was like the Jolly Green Giant out there, and he was good. And then he didn't really lose here because he came in and he ended up
taking over for him.
But he ended up
kept it going.
But he just had to go a little bit farther, right? Experience too, because you got to think he didn't play quarterback much at Stanford. So he was just, that first year was just not set up for him to be successful. Well, then he's athletic enough, and this is where he kind of always wins. You go to the Jets, and they give you every opportunity to be a safety. Then you go to the Tampa Bay and do that, right? Then you step away from football, and he did really good at the pros, right? And I felt like Belichick and them kind of, I felt like when he was at the Jets, they should have gave him more chances to play because we were in the same conference or division. Well, then this, Strick, getting into the coaching business as a former player back then was like winning the lottery.
Yeah.
The same dude that said he dragged him up there got him a job.
Yeah.
Me and you ain't getting that job.
Okay.
Now he worked at it, right?
Yeah.
But he started at a different place than a lot of other people. Right? You got to think. Here's a great comparison. Turner Gill, the same type of quarterback, didn't win a national championship. He had to go coach in high school before he ended up being a head coach.
Yeah.
It was the first time he kind of faced adversity, and it's nobody else's fault, or it's everybody else's fault but his own. It's not about placing blame. They asked, "What'd you learn? Did you learn anything?"
Yeah.
Like everybody learns stuff from playing. Like when you play a game and you lose, didn't you just waste the time?
Right. So Nick, I'm gonna let you go in, but let's get your 24-year-old experience perspective. I did go in yesterday, Nick. I did.
saw, yeah.
I went in,
which is okay.
But I actually took another day to step away and to assess, like as Jay said, based on things that were said. I can actually take another perspective. I'm gonna quick give my perspective. I'm gonna let you speak on what you thought. My perspective is kind of like if you look at the puppeteer who plays the puppet, right? For me, it seemed as if what he was saying, even though it was a dart thrown at Nebraska in a sense, I also think it's a humbling way of the way that he was speaking it out on that public forum at Big 12 Media Days, basically as a humbling move to really spark the base of UCF again. Basically saying, I didn't leave because I didn't like it here. It was a bad job for me. I should have stayed here with you guys, but I'm glad I'm back. But I think he handled that wrong. But I can actually see that potential perspective. I'm not going to give him credit for. I'm a little bit deeper thinker sometimes than just that. But I can actually see, because I don't really think that's the way he's doing it. Yeah. But I'm saying I could actually take it from that perspective also. Me stepping away from it, being somebody that is looking at
a lifeline. He owes you some money.
Yeah. Strick, you helped him out there. Because now there's like maybe 2 Husker fans that changed their opinion. Here's my thought on him. It's less about the quote of him saying, "Don't take the wrong job," and it was more about I pulled it up so I could make sure I didn't misquote it. I said I wouldn't leave unless it was someplace you could win a national championship. I got tugged in a direction to try to help my alma mater, and didn't really want to do it. It wasn't a good move. I'm lucky to get back to a place where I was a lot happier. That's the one that bothered me the most. Because I also did some digging yesterday. I watched Scott on the podium, the main podium. I watched his interview with Matt Berry, Greg McElroy, and Brock Osweiler on ESPNU. and I watched his side podium thing because we've all been to Big Ten Media Days. We know that they have a side podium as well. So I watched him do three interviews yesterday. 2 of those places specifically made sure not to mention anything about Nebraska. However, on the main podium, when you have your biggest audience, this is the one that's broadcasted nationally. This is the one that everybody has access to. Is that you could have just taken an ounce of accountability. Even if you didn't feel like it. You could have been the adult in the room and said, look, we just messed up. Or it just didn't go as planned. It doesn't even have to be, I messed up. It could just be, look, the previous stint didn't go as well as as we expected. But I also went back and I watched the video of his introductory press conference where he is ecstatic to be back. Those were the words that he used. I watched his 2018 opening Big Ten Media Days opener where he said, I truly feel like this is a place I can win a national championship. They haven't been winning to the extent. He continuously drug Mike Riley and all the previous staffers under the bus and said that the cupboards were bare and talked about this and that and all that and said, this is why we're here. And now, after a 16-31 record, he comes back and it's, I got dragged there. Now we can bring the whole 7-year, $35 million. We can bring money into this. I'm looking at it away from the money.
Yeah.
No, don't sit here 5 years later and act like you didn't have every resource in the book. I said it on the morning show with AD. I said, Coach Osborne was right there with you every step of the, he was ecstatic that you were back. And that's your dude. That's the guy that you played for. And so for him, for the program, for something that's way bigger than yourself, you can't sit there on a podium, even if you don't believe it, and be an adult. That's what I struggled with. That's where I struggled with it.
Shout out to Thomas and Lincoln on the Sutter Heyman text line. He in some ways definitely agrees with you by what he said. He says, so what he's saying is that he doesn't think Nebraska has a chance of winning a title because he got dragged there. That's in essence what he's saying, which is kind of wild in itself.
He'd been better off saying, I should have maybe went with I could say, look, things didn't go out well at Nebraska. But what I did learn is I need, in coaching and in making decisions in the future, I need to go with my first instinct and left it at that. Everybody can go and understand.
And now you can start.
Right. Well, that'll let you know, which might have been true in his mind, that he knew there might have been some landmines here. Right. But to everybody else in the whole wide world and 99% of the people, it's like, dude, you got $40-some million. Nobody cared whether you got dragged or not. You came here.
Yeah.
Period.
That's kind of like a player, Jay, right? That has some form of an injury and then make excuses. I ain't even going to make no names, but make excuses for the injury after the fact of taking the L.
Or just saying, hey, man, like I didn't play good because, I just don't. I mean, I do understand what he's saying. If he had reservations, and and everybody's made those decisions, right? Where you're listening to other people and you have reservations, but then eventually you make the decision as a grown man. And I can understand that point because we've all made.
Yeah, I know I have.
I know I have where you and that's where humility comes from. Hey, look, man, I did some. You could even say, hey, look, man, I there's things I did good. There's some things I wish I could have done better. But I will tell you, man, the thing I hate about it is a lot of the things I have reservations came true because it's actually factual.
There it is. Go ahead, Nick. Go ahead.
Well,
go ahead.
Here's what I was gonna say.
Before we go to break.
Yeah, before we go to break, is like I've always seen on social media and stuff is the stuff outside of the football, like outside of the football. So I want to look at this real quick and just like football centric. Let's take away the fact that some dude, it was his alma mater. Take away the fact that he won a championship. Take away all the extra stuff and just look at it from a pure football standpoint. And that's where like I sit there and go, yeah, okay, you know what? Our issues or our frustrations are valid. Yeah. And the reason I say that is because you can take away all the other drama or whatever, all the rumors as well. Okay. Whether they're true, whether they're fake, leave that out of the conversation. This is about accepting responsibility and accountability and having a touch of humility.
Yeah.
And saying, looking back and going, dang, you know what? I sucked. I failed. But also, that's not going to happen again. There's a difference between having confidence and having arrogance. You can have confidence that just because it didn't work, you're at your last spot, doesn't mean the same philosophy or the same thought process can't work in the future at a different spot.
Yeah.
But you at least have to acknowledge what happened here and to just basically place the blame on everybody else. From a respect standpoint, it really hurts.
Yeah.
And that's where I don't feel bad for him. I'm not sorry for him. I don't do it. It's nothing like that. I said it earlier today. I'm not going to root for him to fail, but I'm also not going to root for him to win. Like, I'm just going to kind of be neutral in all of this. But at the end of the day, it's really disappointing, whether it was Scott Frost, Mike Riley, whether it's Matt Rule in 15, whatever it is, to not be able to sit there and be like, you know what? It just didn't go as planned.
Yeah.
That's the part that's really disappointing.
Facts.
And you can call Husker fans soft and all that, but you take away all the other extracurricular, as Coach Prime says, bull junk. You take away all that extracurricular stuff. At the core, there's a rightful reason for Husker fans to be frustrated.
Two quick call text on the text line. Derek in the car says Frost should be charged with a white collar crime for all the money that he stole from NU, theft by deception. OGCJ says Strick, I'm in I think Massachusetts. Nobody drags me anywhere I don't go. I don't want to go.
Yeah.
Right. And then lastly, Kip, as we make our way to break, he says confidence is attractive and arrogance is despicable. And it's a hair-thin line between the both of them.
There you go.
So well said. We're going to come back with Shootout with Jay. Stricky, the champ, is here yesterday. We'll see if Jay will be able to pull it off. Tricky Niggy put it together today. We're gonna have Shootout with Jay when we come right back after this. Right after this 93.7 Ticket.
Download our app by searching for 93.7 The Ticket in your app store to stay in touch and listen all day wherever you are. More of On the Block next on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Jack Russell of Farm Bureau Financial Services is here to help you protect things that are most important to you. Whether it's your home, your family, or your future, Jack Russell has the proven experience to get the job done while developing authentic relationships with you. Give Jack a call today at 402-421-9100. Again, that's 402-421-9100. Or visit one of his 2 locations in Lincoln or Seward and learn how you can excel in the complicated world of insurance. Jack Russell of Farm Bureau Financial Services, a trusted and well-respected representative since 1999.
Hey guys, you have heard about the Farrell's 10-week challenge for years on The Ticket. If you still haven't joined us for this amazing challenge, what are you waiting for? You could be our next $1,000 winner like Derek, who just lost 30 pounds, 23 inches, and 8% body fat. Derek changed his life in the 10-week challenge, and so can you. Farrell's combines kickboxing, strength training, and nutrition coaching to get you the results you have been waiting for. Join us July 12th for the Summer 10-Week Challenge. Go to fxblincoln.com to enroll today.
Now's the best time to lock in early order savings on a new John Deere planter from Landmark Implement during the early order program. Plan for success with the latest technology, including Exact Emerge high-speed planters that help you cover more acres with greater precision and productivity. Order your planter for next year now to unlock the biggest savings of the season. Contact your local Landmark location today and experience the Landmark difference.
Rashawn Jackson here for Bauer Underground, who has been serving local contractors and utility contractors all across the state since 1997. When you see the black and white trucks, you know the baddest dudes in the business have arrived. Bauer is currently looking for equipment operators, laborers, diesel mechanics, and aerial linemen. Join the brotherhood built on hard work, authentic people, and pedigree of success. Bauer, a family-friendly company who reminds you, go Big Red!
Attention all Wings fans. Buffalo Wings and Rings has daily specials that will make you want to stop in on all days of the week. Kids eat free on Mondays, and on Tuesdays, enjoy 40% off boneless or traditional wings at a price that makes the whole family happy. And come back on Wednesdays for $1.39 chicken tenders all day long. Get to Wings and Rings today, 68th and O, or in Williamsburg Village.
Are you ready for a new opportunity? Check out Sandhills Global. Join a dynamic team where your skills are valued and your career can soar. We offer full-time positions with a 4.5-day work week, competitive pay, excellent benefits, and a positive work environment. From IT and marketing to sales and finance, we're looking for talented individuals just like you. Apply today at sandhills.jobs and take the first step towards an exciting future. That's sandhills.jobs. Don't wait, apply now.
Rico here with HIS Auto Care at 70th and Van Dorn, letting you know HIS is a great place to bring your vehicle for service. With superior service bumper to bumper, we'll treat your vehicle like it's your mother's. Doesn't get any better than that. So call 402-488-8934 and HIS Auto will make you glad you did. 5% off, mention this ad, and for sure your mother will be proud you called. 402-488-8934, HIS Auto Care, 70th and Van Dorn. God bless you.
Rosie's Sports Bar and Grill, open for lunch and dinner at 1501 Center Park Road, just south of 14th and Highway 2.
Are you looking to upgrade or improve the garage door on your home? This is Cameron Hall of Doors Plus. At Doors Plus, we guarantee to offer a wide selection of options from 5 leading garage door manufacturers as we deliver a free estimate, exact measurements, and rapid installation with a 3 to 5 week time frame. When you choose Doors Plus for your residential garage door needs, you'll work with our experienced technicians and be ensured that your new door seamlessly complements your home. Give us a call at 402-590-5800 or visit us online at doorsplusllc.com. Doors Plus, garage doors and more.
Select Plumbing and Utility has been serving Lincoln and the surrounding area for 14 years, and they're not slowing down. Select Plumbing and Utility handles all your plumbing needs from faucets and water heaters to full renovations, and they can even help with your heating and cooling needs. They're also Lincoln's underground experts, repairing and replacing broken underground water and sewer lines since day one. Contact Select Plumbing and Utility today at 402-560-6197, assuring excellence in every situation, opportunity, and challenge. That's 402-560-6197.
It's time to play Shootout with Strick. Call now, 464-5685, to take your shot against Eric Strickland. Shootout with Strick. Brought to you by Buffalo Wings and Rings.
Time to play the game!
That is right. You know what that music means. It's time to play the shootout. Instead of Strick, you're going to be going up against Jay Foreman today. You tell us if you feel confident in the category here. Jay, you obviously don't know the category either, but the category today is, as we are in Big 12 Media Days, places that the Big 12 coaches were previously at. So I'm going to give you the name. So hypothetically speaking, I did not put Scott Frost on there, but hypothetically I'd say, where was Scott Frost before UCF? And you tell me exactly. Obviously I give you 2 options. So there's probably some layups here, but we had to keep it Big 12 centric. $30 gift card to our friends at Buffalo Wings and Rings is on the line. All right. I think we have a contestant. Harrison. No, we do not have a contestant. So you got time.
Jay might get a forfeit.
Harrison's just on the phone with a listener. So if you feel confident about your Big 12 coach knowledge, guys, feel free to give us a call, 464-5685. We got another phone call here. You're going up against Jay. Obviously, here we go. We're going to see if Harrison's efforting the phone call here. Jay, how do you feel about this on a scale of 1 to 10?
I'm a good 6.
Wait, 1 to 7.
Good 4.3.
Okay, thank you.
4.4.
There you go.
Jim Philippi says on the line, he says Frost should have said mistakes were made, as Jay had said, and lessons were also learned. So thanks, Jim, for that on the YouTube stream.
There you go. All right, we have a contestant, and it is Nate. Nate, how do you feel about Big 12 coaches and where they were previously at?
Better than maybe I should. I don't know. We'll find out.
All right.
Nate,
Nate, you get to hang out on the line and hear how Jay performs. All right, Jay, you ready to go?
I'm ready.
All right. Countdown.
Let's go, Nate. Let's go, Nate. Oh, I'm sorry.
Here we go. All right, Jay, here we go. 3, 2, and 1. Before TCU, where was Sonny Dykes? SMU or Cal?
SMU.
That is correct. Before Arizona State, where was Kenny Dillingham coaching? Oregon or Washington State?
Oregon.
That is correct. Arizona head coach Brent Brennan came from which school? Memphis or San Jose State?
Right, San Jose State.
That is correct. And for a clean sweep, you know this one. This is a layup, unfortunately. Before becoming the coach of Kansas State, where was Chris Kleiman?
North Dakota State.
That is correct. North Dakota State. How about that, Nate? Now with a clean sweep, how do you
Jay, how
feel?
come you didn't use me?
Oh, well, I'd have felt pretty good at those
I was going to ask you
few.
about the one at Dillingham. I
Now-
just guessed.
Now, here's the deal. He was the offensive coordinator for the University of Oregon. Now, here's the deal. Those were layups. I feel like, Nate, yours are layups as well. Okay. Obviously, you have a small group of coaches to choose from in the Big 12. All right, Nate, you got to get all of them correct to head to a tiebreaker. All right, Nate, you ready to go?
Let's do it.
All right, 3, 2, and 1. Before Kansas, where did Lance Leipold coach? Buffalo or Utah State?
Buffalo.
That is correct. Before Houston, Willie Fritz was the head coach of where? Jacksonville State or Tulane?
Tulane.
That is correct. Before Baylor, where was Dave Aranda? Texas or LSU?
Texas.
It was LSU, and to see if you can come up 1 point shy, prior to Cincinnati, where was Scott Satterfield the head coach of?
South Carolina.
Is it South Carolina? Jay, do you know the answer? It's not South Carolina. Do you know where Scott Satterfield was? Or Strick?
Was it Cincinnati?
It was not. That's where he's at right now, prior to Cincinnati. He was the head coach at Louisville. He was the guy that was before Jeff Brom.
Yeah.
Nate, thanks for playing. I appreciate the effort. You come up just a couple. Those were a little tougher, especially the
no
Louisville one.
kidding, Jay. Jeez.
Sorry about that, Nate. Hang on the
All right,
line.
thanks.
Thanks for playing. I hung up.
We still want to give away the Stricken.
Yeah.
Jay, I know you always got questions. Give a question with like a number involved in it, or
I got
Nick,
one.
you got one?
I got one.
Shoot, Nick's
I got
on it.
one. We'll use the tiebreaker.
Yeah.
Former Big 12 running back Cam Scadaboo is now playing for the New York Giants. However, he finished all-time single-season rushing record for Arizona State last year. How many rushing yards did he have last season?
Do I need to give the answer?
Well, I was just curious.
You do, because they have to go above.
15,
They have to go above, below,
15,
or push.
1550.
1550. Did Cam Scadaboo have more than 1,550 yards? Derek in a car is your winner. The winner of the Stricken. It's over. It's over. 1,711 rushing yards for Cam Scadaboo in 2024.
I thought that was high. I thought 50 was high.
Can you imagine 1,700 yards? That's crazy.
Yeah, that is sick.
They don't play no defense in Big
12.
Twelve.
That's getting it.
Oh yeah, no matter what.
Now,
that's every game.
Is he a good translatable back with his style of running? He doesn't
Not
have
right-
to break open, but
yeah, not right away.
Uh-huh.
I thought he was going to be faster than he actually.
Yeah, he showed. I saw it.
Yeah.
There it is.
1,711 rushing yards.
Oof.
That's crazy. There it is. Hour number 2 of On the Block continues right after this on 93.7 The Ticket.
Follow Austin Strick and On the Block on Twitter at Austin Orman, eStrick20, and On the Block 93.7. More of On the Block coming up.
An hour ago, you didn't need a plumber. Now you're in a panic. When life throws you a surprise with a clogged drain, plugged or leaky toilet, broken pipe, leaky faucet or water heater, or a bathroom or kitchen plumbing upgrade, whatever. Just call Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing. 467-1111. Keep that number handy, 467-1111. Or go to BryantLincoln.com. Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing. We do whatever it takes.
93.7 The Ticket is your home for every Kansas City Royals baseball game. Bobby Witt Jr., Salvador Perez, Vinny Pasquantino, and the rest of the Royals attempt to make the postseason for the second season in a row. And you can hear all the action on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Your home for Kansas City Royals baseball.
Are you ready for a new opportunity? Check out Sandhills Global. Join a dynamic team where your skills are valued and your career can soar. We offer full-time positions with a 4.5-day work week, competitive pay, excellent benefits, and a positive work environment. From IT and marketing to sales and finance, we're looking for talented individuals just like you. Apply today at sandhills.jobs and take the first step towards an exciting future. That's sandhills.jobs. Don't wait, apply now.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet. KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
Rashawn Jackson here for Bauer Underground, who has been serving local contractors and utility contractors all across the state since 1997. When you see the black and white trucks, you know the baddest dudes in the business have arrived. Bauer is currently looking for equipment operators, laborers, diesel mechanics, and aerial linemen. Join the brotherhood built on hard work, authentic people, and pedigree of success. Bauer, a family-friendly company who reminds you, go Big Red!
Rico here with HIS Auto Care at 70th and Van Dorn, letting you know HIS is a great place to bring your vehicle for service. With superior service bumper to bumper, we'll treat your vehicle like it's your mother's. Doesn't get any better than that. So call 402-488-8934 and HIS Auto will make you glad you did. 5% off, mention this ad, and for sure your mother will be proud you called. 402-488-8934, HIS Auto Care, 70th and Van Dorn. God bless you.
Select Plumbing and Utility has been serving Lincoln and the surrounding area for 14 years, and they're not slowing down. Select Plumbing and Utility handles all your plumbing needs, from faucets and water heaters to full renovations, and they can even help with your heating and cooling needs. They're also Lincoln's underground experts, repairing and replacing broken underground water and sewer lines since day one. Contact Select Plumbing and Utility today at 402-560-6197, assuring excellence in every situation, opportunity, and challenge. That's 402-560-6197.
With UBT, you've got total control over your money. Like Doug, who runs his game day tailgate like a well-oiled machine.
I got burgers, brats, chicken, dogs, plus all the fixins. And with the UBT Go app, I can track my food spending from anywhere.
Pro move.
They don't call me Grill Sergeant for nothing.
No matter your goals, UBT helps you feel good about reaching them. Union Bank and Trust, member FDIC.
Advanced Medical Imaging is the largest radiology group in Nebraska, located in Lincoln at 7601 Pioneers Boulevard. At Advanced Medical Imaging, they utilize state-of-the-art technology and blend it together with their compassionate, skilled team to guide you through every step. Whether it's an MRI, CT scan, or X-ray, their precise diagnostics help your doctor deliver the best care plan for you. Choose clarity and comfort in your life by choosing Advanced Medical Imaging, located at 7601 Pioneers Boulevard and online at amimaging.com.
Rosie's Sports Bar and Grill, open for lunch and dinner at 1501 Center Park Road, just south of 14th and Highway 2.
If you came across someone struggling with hunger, how would you recognize them? By their clothes, their age, the way they speak? Would you notice a 16-year-old boy who got his first job,
not for extra spending money, but to help feed his little sisters?
or a mother who's in between jobs and sometimes goes to bed hungry so her kids can have dinner? Or a 14-year-old girl who signs up to every after-school activity, not to make friends, but just to get something to eat? Or a retiree who fell ill and had to choose
between getting medicine or groceries.
I am the 1 in 8 Americans who struggle with hunger. People you pass by every day but never knew were hungry. I am hunger in America.
Hunger can be hard to recognize. Learn why at IamHungerInAmerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America, 200 Food Banks Strong, and the Ad Council.
In Nebraska, we show up when friends need help. We check in on our neighbors. That's why it's important to know the warning signs of suicide. If you have a friend or neighbor who's withdrawn, stressed, agitated, or talks about suicide, find out how you can help. Call, text, or chat 988 for 24/7 support. You have the power to save a life. Paid for by the University of Nebraska Public Policy Center. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association in this station.
This is On the Block with Nebraska Basketball Hall of Famer and 9-year NBA vet, Eric Strickland. Nebraska Football Hall of Famer, Jay Foreman. Middle school basketball coaching legend and Duke basketball shooting coach in his mind, Austin Orman. Coming at you live from the heart of Lincoln, America. On air and online at theticketfm.com. Sponsored by the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese. This is On the Block with Eric Strickland, Jay Foreman, and Austin Orman.
We're back on the We're back on the block. Strick. Jay Foreman, the Hall of Famer, 56. Shee! Big touchdowns, interceptions. Jay knocking blocks off, but he's definitely Jay, you knocking blocks off? Somebody meet you in the middle of the hole, you knocking blocks off.
Not no more.
Nick Sainert is joining us as well. Second hour of On the Block. We appreciate you guys for tuning in, chiming in, tapping in. We're thankful for your continued support here. But also, this segment is sponsored by and is brought to you by Heartland of Nebraska Windows. Heartland Nebraska Windows is based in Hallam, Nebraska. They offer free estimates, full window replacements, all vinyl, triple pane windows, and a lifetime warranty on everything while keeping their prices affordable. Heartland of Nebraska is serving the local community and is family owned. With their own team of installers, give Heartland Nebraska Windows a call today for more information at 402-430-3852 or visit them online at heartlandofnebraskawindows.com. So, Jay has basically, you got something?
I have something that you guys will have a unique perspective on it, and it just popped up across the wire, so I apologize. We're going off a rundown.
Yeah.
But so the New York Yankees just made the decision to designate for assignment DJ LeMahieu. They owe him $22 million. He's been in the majors for years and years, spent a lot of time with the Colorado Rockies, and obviously now with the New York Yankees. What goes through your guys' mind? Obviously, you guys played at that level, but you've been at that level for so long, and you've been around the game for so long. Sure, the $22 million, it's nice, right? But at that point, are you just like, I'm ready to be done playing?
I'm looking at the Bobby Bonilla plan at this point. However y'all want to do it, let's Bobby Bonilla.
Yeah, right.
For me, okay. But also,
Like a motivation standpoint, like how much motivation do you have to play?
Well, it did happen for me at one point. In the latter half of my career, I was actually going for custody of my son at the time. I had a little slight injury. They was trying to send me to the early part of the G League. It was the D League at the time, and I got an offer to go to Panathinaikos over in Greece to play, and I just knew my time was done. How I knew is I just didn't have. I was a gym rat. I didn't have the drive to even want to be in the gym. I when practice was over, I was one that would stay late and get a lot of shots or hit the weights or whatever. I was ready to get out of the gym. That's when I knew. That's
just where like I was wondering, sure, the money's fine, right? But like whether or not he got this $22 million, DJ LeMahieu is fine. But just from like a motivation standpoint, you've been in the top echelon of baseball for 15 years over your career. And now you're getting sent down with a real dim light or chance to get back up there. How much motivation do you really have to play in AAA?
If there's not like I wouldn't say a clear path or easy path, like to get back up there, then, the motivation is twofold. One, it could be not that much. And if there isn't any motivation, you might as well just cut it off and turn it in. But if there is motivation, then you got to stick it out because, you could, latch on with another team maybe, next season or later on this season if you get released.
You want to be a good teammate in essence. You want to be the one
right. That's where I'm wondering.
Haslam.
It's like, is that when guys start to shift the mentality of what their role is with the team? And like, this is where like Eric, and I always appreciate Eric because he keeps me humble. He says, no one cares about baseball, Nick. I didn't want to have this strictly baseball conversation. I wanted to bring this into, you're a veteran that's had an ample amount of time playing at the top league of whatever sport you play. Yeah. And now the writing's kind of on the wall that your time's coming to an end.
Yeah. And some people it happens with an arrogant stance to it, meaning that, let me just say, similar to Bronny.
Okay.
Bronny been on private planes, all his time with his dad. He's been at the best of the hotels, the Ritz-Carltons and, Intercontinentals, any of the top hotels you want to be in, ate the best of the meals, right? You get that in the league. Yeah, you go to the hotels, you stay at the best of the hotels, you're flying on a private plane. All that looks similar. And to go from that, sometimes it's like, oh, no, wait a minute. Now, baseball's a little bit different. The travel's different.
AAA travel
the living in the state.
yeah.
Now, you got the money and all of that, but all of that stuff, it feels different.
Buses.
It looks different, right? So, I sometimes from that perspective, I can see it. For me, it's not necessarily the missing of the grind. For me, it was more family related. So it actually depends on
situation.
Yeah, your situation. If you still have the grind and you want to grind it out, if I'm him, I take it as a sense of, if I love the game like that still, I take it as a sense of maybe I can position this into a coaching situation.
You can move
or
upstairs, you just never know.
you know, it just depends on how you want to position it. Go ahead, Jay.
There's a lot of like backdoor deals, like you got to, can you do this for us? And next thing you know, you're assistant GM, and then next thing you know, you're running a team.
Yeah.
Or if you just love and a lot of times as an athlete, whether you can play. Sometimes your tenure, paycheck, or pay grade sometimes dictates that you don't really get a realistic chance because maybe they want to play some younger players. And so, but playing up in the majors for 15 years, like you said, it'd be tough to go to AAA. But obviously, that fire still burns in him, and really, he has nothing to lose. He's had a great career so far. It ended today. He's obviously highly compensated and obviously very successful.
Bobby Bonilla's playing.
Yeah, I mean that too. I mean he's got a ton of money, and so if he wants to still play, why not?
Yeah. So listen, Jay Foreman threw the gauntlet down on Stricky in a way. He's good at that. He kind of tossed it out there, cornhole style. He threw a couple in cornhole, and he's like, "What you gonna do, Stricky?" So he threw it out to Stricky. He says, "Stricky, if you were building a collegiate basketball team, whether it be here at Nebraska or anywhere," he didn't really specifically say, but let's say here in Nebraska or anywhere, and Nick, you're in this too. Okay. How would we do it? You want me to go first since you threw it at me, Jay? You want me to go ahead and go first? All right. So, Stricky, I would take an idea of what I'm seeing at the NBA level, and we see that it's very 3-and-D, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander style, the 6'6", 6'5", 6'7" point guard or wing guard that can go get money. And when I say get money, get buckets, right? Then I would work with a Gazelle, Mikey Moore type, Chet Holmgren type. I'm looking at OKC, and I'm saying, how can I build this at the collegiate level? I'm starting with either a point guard or two with that length, can both defend and go get money. And then I'm building around him. I'm getting a solid point guard with Lou Dort, Chucky Hepburn type skills, meaning they can score, but they don't have to and still be effective. So I'm looking at a point guard that's going to be a good lead guard. He's going to be an extension of me, get everything in order, set up. I don't have to do a whole bunch of talking to him. He understands what I want, but then he can 94 feet you, Pat Bev, whatever you want to call it. I'm looking for that type of guy. Then I'm looking at a 4-man that's just a bruiser, a guy that, is going to attack, take contact, rebound like Dennis Rodman, and be like that. That's the foundation of the team that I'm building, if that's me.
Yeah, I like that. I think I'm along the same lines. My point guard is going to be at Nebraska. Is going to be a lot like the guard that Kansas State had a couple years ago.
Okay,
about 5'10", right?
Yeah,
5'10", 5'11". He's in the G League or whatever it is now. And he's going
Nigel Pack. Nigel Pack went to Miami.
No, it's Miami.
He's a lot like Nigel Pack though. But
but he was going buck wild in the 402-464-5685. I can't remember his name, but I know it's not a funny name, but it's a unique little name.
And the reason
Marquise Noel.
Marquise Noel.
That's right.
That's him.
And the reason why I want him is because he can guard you 94 feet. He can score at all three levels because he was getting to the buckets. but he can distribute as well. So his decision making was phenomenal.
Yeah.
And he can shoot from three.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to look at it like I'm building a defense. I want to be, strong up the middle. I'm going to just say his name. You know what I'm going to get, dude? I'm going to get my man BD Bangot Dak from Colorado. That's who I'm getting right now, straight from Lincoln Southeast. My man is like 8 feet tall, can shoot the three, can jump, dunk, rebound. He's gotten bigger. That's the dude. I'm going to get him next year out the portal. Right?
Okay.
Because that gives you that Chet Holmgren, and more importantly, that Mikey Moore, but would actually more 3-point threats. And he can get you a little bit off the bounce. Then I'm gonna try to find me and BD size and length and kind of like the plastic man allows you to have a little bit smaller power forward. But I want you to be mean. Right? I want you to be that dude. I want you to be like my man AC that played for Baylor back in the day.
Yeah.
Quincy AC. Listen, if it ain't off the rim or two-hand slam bam alakazam, then you kicking it.
I'll even take a Julian Newman. Not Newman, but a Julian
Reese?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. No, I think he's probably more skilled than AC.
Yeah.
But AC was angry.
Yeah.
When he dunked, it was on.
Or Stacey Ackles back in UNLV.
Right. That's who I want.
Right.
Those are my
I see
three
what you're
dudes.
talking about.
And then my two guards, I want a good mix. I want a guy that's that kind of, well, I guess I'll say it's like your boy that went to Utah this year, like Ace Bailey, that stretch wing or whatever can get make some off.
That's what I'm talking about.
Off schedules, and then I want another guard with some similar size that can handle, but then can do the Stricky or Sam Grease will back you down when we getting in a little trouble. All right, when we need to stop a run, that or
I can put him on.
Put him on right, get you down the block, get us a good shot, make the free throws, and keep
I
us
like
with
that.
Yeah, that's our team. So it's kind of it'd be a crazy looking team pit starting five, right? You got the little, and that's what I would do. I'd have BD bang out down here about 7'1", my man over here
in the middle or on the outside.
No, I have an outside that had a little man next to him, right? And then I'll have the 6'6" dude, all yoked up, right?
Yeah.
And then I have my two, 2 and 3 or two wings.
Okay.
I like that a lot because it provides versatility. I think a lot of times also, I mean, you guys can speak on this even more. Nebraska's gotten into situations, both micro within the game, but then also macro throughout the course of a season, where runs have come to kill them.
Facts.
Yeah.
And so when you mentioned the Sam Greasel piece of it, I thought about that's what like number one for me would be is you got to have somebody that can be a calming hand, but both in the near future when you're trying to stop an 8-0 run from somebody and trying to keep the game in hand or keep it from getting out of hand and not in your favor. But then also if you face adversity throughout the course of the season, there's a reason why that team with Sam Greasel and Derek Walker felt the most unified that it has at Nebraska in the last 10 years.
If they had Vandermill, do they, if he was not injured, do they go? I think that is one part I don't think we talk enough about.
Yeah. Is what Emmanuel Vandermill could have given them in terms of some athleticism. At the guard position. Yeah.
No doubt. I'm going to throw this out here. Two quick scenarios. And you guys too, 402-464-5685. If you want to jump in the conversation, how would you build it? You can do that, and hopefully we'll be able to get to it in one of these segments as we exit the last two of the day. But here's another thing. Okay. You're on the low end of the spectrum as far as the money distribution. And I'm going to limit it so that way you don't have to. Who are you paying the most money if you're on the low end of the spectrum? And then how are you distributing it if you've got the top end of the spectrum of the basketball money? So meaning that probably the top end of the spectrum, you're going to get $5 million.
Yeah.
It's 5 to 6 million of that 20 million. On the low end, you're probably going to be at 3. So who you're paying? Like, who are you paying the big dog money out of the groups that we just talked about?
I'm playing. Well, if you got a little dude, Noel, it's kind of like when Chucky went to Louisville. That's your captain.
So you're paying that guy the big money?
I'm not paying him the big. I mean, either him or my 7 foot.
I would say you're tall dude.
If he's a stretch. That's guaranteed. 5-star. You got to that check is already written before you get on the plane.
Right.
So
I think it's league dependent, right? It's league dependent.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
Because I think in
different from the SEC,
yeah, right.
from
in certain areas, you gotta know what you're going up
Big
against.
East.
Yeah. I think in the Big Ten, it's very important that your guard play is solid, and that's where Nebraska's killed. Not just we make so much. The cliche is like so much like, man, Nebraska needs a point guard. They need to recruit. I think it's guard play across the board
because it took Michigan State deep because of the good guard play.
I think ability to hold on to the basketball in the backcourt is massive, and to somewhat be able to resist some transition. I think so with that, I think if you're able to get a guy that can distribute the basketball, you're maybe not paying him big, but you're paying him above average. I think that's maybe the way that I would almost go with it is. Who are you paying above average? Because you got to get a guard forward, kind of a combo guy that can shoot from the perimeter, I would imagine. But then also you got to find somebody that can give them the ball. And so if you pay both of those guys above average, are you able to get 2+ guys rather than one exceptional player and kind of slacking on the next guy? So I think that that's GM's job. I mean, like at the end of the day, that's
roster
GM's
construction.
Job.
The importance
figure
of
out
it.
the roster and figure out how we're going to pay these guys what we need to pay them.
And you got to make sure you test the personalities too, because if you get remember a few years ago we had essentially like Verge and all, they were like AAU team, and everybody was just kind of just trying to get their team.
And it started,
I see that all the time,
and it started bad. It started really bad,
Mm-hmm.
and then Alonzo Verge kind of started to take over a little bit, and it changed.
Down the stretch,
it got better down the stretch,
but it was almost too late.
It was
too late for anything to happen.
But I think that's set forth where we're at right now.
Thomas and Lincoln says, to build one, you would rather want a tall, dominant center or a short, dominant PG. And he choose the tall, dominant center. So shout out to them. James and Lincoln says, so Strick, you just described the starting lineup for the Olympic Dream Team.
Well, okay. So
LOL.
Here's
maybe
a
without
question.
Mikey Moore.
Without, if we don't see what Purdue's done year after year, like our Purdue's shifted because now they have tall dudes, but they have exceptional guard play. Braden Smith is one of the best in the country,
and been that way.
And Fletcher Lawyer, and like those dudes are legit. But we think about Purdue so much of like, all right, Zach Edey and Harms and all these 7-foot dudes, But in reality, where Purdue's hurt Nebraska the most, or and a lot of other teams, is their ability in the backcourt. With their guards,
the solid guard.
Yeah.
Absolutely. The only way that you really do it is if you can get a Michael Beasley, or since you're talking about Purdue, big dog Glenn Robinson. Essentially, he was a one-man game.
Yeah,
if you got a guy that can handle, that can shoot the 3 mid-range, and he was what 6'8", 6'9",
6'8", 6'9",
and he was
he called him big dog for a reason.
Hey, then it don't matter who you got. You can put me and Nick out there.
I'd play.
Big dog. That'll do it for us for this this segment. We'll come back. We're going to talk about big money being spent out of OKC and what does that mean for the team. We'll dig into that a little bit right now on the other side of this break. 93.7 Ticket on the block.
Download our app by searching for 93.7 The Ticket in your app store to stay in touch and listen all day wherever you are. More of On the Block next on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Jack Russell of Farm Bureau Financial Services is here to help you protect things that are most important to you. Whether it's your home, your family, or your future, Jack Russell has the proven experience to get the job done while developing authentic relationships with you. Give Jack a call today at 402-421-9100. Again, that's 402-421-9100. Or visit one of his 2 locations in Lincoln or Seward and learn how you can excel in the complicated world of insurance. Jack Russell of Farm Bureau Financial Services, a trusted and well-respected representative since 1999.
Advanced Medical Imaging is the largest radiology group in Nebraska, located in Lincoln at 7601 Pioneers Boulevard. At Advanced Medical Imaging, they utilize state-of-the-art technology and blend it together with their compassionate, skilled team to guide you through every step. Whether it's an MRI, CT scan, or X-ray, their precise diagnostics help your doctor deliver the best care plan for you. Choose clarity and comfort in your life by choosing Advanced Medical Imaging, located at 7601 Pioneers Boulevard and online at amimaging.com.
Sartor Heyman Jewelers.
Rick Heyman here from Starter Heyman Jewelers. I want to personally thank our great customers for voting us once again the best of Lincoln. At the same time, we're celebrating our 120th year in business in the great state of Nebraska. Visit us at South Point, Grand Island, and the Outlet in downtown Lincoln. Visit us today at starterheyman.com.
Starter Heyman
Gaina Trucking is hiring CDL Class A and B drivers. Their strong team culture makes it not a job, but a career. Gaina Trucking offers health, vision, and dental insurance, 401k with company match, an employee assistance program, and other bonus programs. Build a better career today with great team culture at Gaina Trucking. Learn more and apply today at GainaTrucking.com.
Load up on meat and more this spring at The Mercado by Certified Piedmontese with great selections of T-bones, tomahawks, ribeyes, filet mignon, brisket, sirloin, and so much more. The Mercado has locations at 84th and Havelock, 30th and Yankee Hill, and now 85th and Old Cheney in Lincoln, where you can have $2 draft beer every Thursday night from 4 to 8 p.m. and half-price espresso drinks on Fridays from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. Get to The Mercado today for the best meat in town.
With UBT, you've got total control over your money. Like Doug, who runs his game day tailgate like a well-oiled machine.
I got burgers, brats, chicken, dogs, plus all the fixins. And with the UBT Go app, I can track my food spending from anywhere.
Pro move.
They don't call me Grill Sergeant for nothing.
No matter your goals, UBT helps you feel good about reaching them. Union Bank and Trust, member FDIC.
Prashawn Jackson here for Bauer Underground, who has been serving local contractors and utility contractors all across the state since 1997. When you see the black and white trucks, you know the baddest dudes in the business have arrived. Bauer is currently looking for equipment operators, laborers, diesel mechanics, and aerial linemen. Join the brotherhood built on hard work, authentic people, and pedigree of success. Bauer, a family-friendly company who reminds you, go Big Red!
Rico here with HIS Auto Care at 70th and Van Dorn, letting you know HIS is a great place to bring your vehicle for service. With superior service bumper to bumper, we'll treat your vehicle like it's your mother's. Doesn't get any better than that. So call 402-488-8934 and HIS Auto will make you glad you did. 5% off, mention this ad, and for sure your mother will be proud you called. 402-488-8934, HIS Auto Care, 70th and Van Dorn. God bless you.
Grandma and Grandpa, Mom and Dad, then the kids, and now the grandkids. Judson Irrigation has provided lawn sprinkler system design, installation, repair, and service to 4 generations. They're just like members of the family. Loyalty, trust, service. It's what you deserve and expect from Judson Irrigation.
Keep summer green. Call Judson Irrigation 402-420-6277 or judsonirrigation.com.
Bring new life to metal treasures with Kaiser Blasting and Coatings. From railings and fences to outdoor furniture and unique antiques, their expert team removes years of rust and weathering, then finishes each piece with a lasting powder coat. Trusted by industries across the region, now local homeowners and businesses can experience the same professional care. Visit KaiserBlasting.com or call 402-421-3559 to request your quote. Restore, protect, and make your metal shine like never before with the help of Kaiser Blasting and Coatings. Big box stores are tempting for buying equipment for your high schooler in sports or for yourself in your sports leisures. But buying new is awfully expensive. Why not go somewhere with new and used options? Play It Again Sports has quality, slightly to gently used equipment, and 50% of their inventory is actually new equipment. And it's more than baseball, softball, and golf. They also have equipment for disc golf, fitness, hockey, and more. Plus, they're always buying products. Bring your gear you're done with and get trade money on the spot. Play It Again Sports at 48th and Vine.
A lot of businesses say they're family focused, but when tough situations in life arise, the business wants anything but your best interests. James Enterprise Incorporated is hiring, and they will always treat their employees like family, just as they do their customers. James Enterprise Incorporated is hiring Class A and B CDL drivers, a shop tech, and a diesel mechanic. If you're looking for a career with a company that goes above and beyond to value you and your family, apply today at jamesenterpriseinc.com or call 432-6740.
Select Plumbing and Utility has been serving Lincoln and the surrounding area for 14 years, and they're not slowing down. Select Plumbing and Utility handles all your plumbing needs, from faucets and water heaters to full renovations, and they can even help with your heating and cooling needs. They're also Lincoln's underground experts, repairing and replacing broken underground water and sewer lines since day one. Contact Select Plumbing and Utility today at 402-560-6197, assuring excellence in every situation, opportunity, and challenge. That's 402-560-6197.
Now back to On the Block with Eric Strickland, Jay Foreman, and Austin Orman.
Two segments left here on the block today before old school comes in and takes over. We're going to talk a little bit about big money NBA spent. We know that Shea just hit for the largest contract, 71 stackolas in a year. We know he just hit
$890,000 a game.
Oof. Claude have mercy.
On just a random Tuesday night, making $890K.
With what's it called? Where they get the little off nights because of load management too.
Yep. That's
Lord,
right. That's right. That's
you
true.
have to
If
play
he plays
every
all
game to
82.
get that contract from me. But there would be some discounts if you missed a certain amount of game. We need some of that clawed back. But nonetheless, Chet Holmgren just also agreed to a fully guaranteed 5-year maximum rookie contract extension that could reach upwards of $250 million. So this is based on what Bill Duffy, WME base basketball agent, told ESPN on Wednesday morning. Now, here's the thing. We've been discussing how the tiers come into play, how teams are blowing through the tiers, how the tiers came into effect because people were really just blowing through the salary cap, and how situations like Golden State probably will not happen again. But it looks as if Oklahoma City is trekking in that direction. Oklahoma City is the 2025 world champions for the NBA. And that's another discussion. But anyway, they're the champions for the NBA this year. Chet Holmgren was up for his extension. He signs it. Shea also in the same year, but then they're also looking towards all-NBA superstar in Jalen Williams for his rookie extension. So I think there's some uniqueness in the way that they're set up compared to how others are set up. This is not a situation where you have free agencies like a Brunson coming in, or someone like a Luka going over to the Lakers. It's a little bit different situation. These are guys that are on your team. It makes it a little bit more easier to do. But we also know that they have a tremendous cachet of draft picks also available to them. They now have young talent that's there on the roster. They have Dort that's on a big contract. You have also Caruso on a solid contract. You have guys that are movable pieces as well. Cason Wallace is also a movable young piece. So you've got young talent, but we know that in 2025, they had a number one pick that was Miami lottery protected, and it was Philadelphia top 6 protected. 2026, they do not have they have another first rounder in the 2026 draft with a second rounder. There are no protections on that. And then they have a 2027, they have 2028, 2029, 2030, and 2030. There's a lot of teams that aren't sitting in that position. There's some that don't have picks in 2026.
That's Sam Presti, man.
Right?
That's Sam Presti.
Got it done.
Well, and what he's done, I know we're going to talk about the big money, but also what he's done, you talked about movable pieces. Like, I look like at a guy like Jalen Williams, who signed for like 2 years, $8.5 million. Like, that's one that they can easily move, and they give somebody club control, essentially. Where it's like, all right, you got an opportunity to kind of do whatever you want with them.
Jay, how do you view it? Because you can't pull a Golden State now. They with the tiers that are set up the way they are, and the money and the salary cap the way that it is right now at this point, you can't pull off a Golden State dynasty move right now.
Yeah. I mean, I think essentially this is a run it back. Everybody, it's kind of like the Celtics. Everybody got paid. We're going to see if we can go back to back, and then it's going to be the roster is going to look significantly different. Now, all those draft picks or assets or whatever you want to call them gives you a really, really cushioning and soft landing. Because if you move a big contract, look, you feel confident. Listen, we've drafted, we've traded better than anybody has in the NBA over the last 5 years, right? And so they feel like they can do it again. And also with the NBA and the game going more towards a wing dominated game, there's more wings out there now.
Yeah.
They can play, like roles. They can play sometimes a 1, 2, 3, and 4 when you go small, or sometimes if you have somebody that's a serious dog like Draymond Green, you can have a guy that can play all 5 positions and definitely defend. There's more of those guys out there now, and so they feel very confident where it's going. So it's a little bit different than Denver that faced the same situation, and the Celtics as well, because Denver is centered around the Joker, which is great because he's going to go down one of the greatest of all times. But what it is he's not a movable object. You could trade. You're not going to trade Shea, but you could trade every single one of them, and they would go and do the same thing somewhere else and turn your franchise around. And you could take that OKC model and put it. You could trade. I'm obviously biased. Trade Chet to up there with Ant-Man. There's your number 1 or number 2 contender right there. You could trade Williams to somewhere else, and then he could be the missing piece. So they got a bunch of franchise pieces. They just like, all right, who's going to give us the most?
And the crazy thing about that is, actually, Jay, I agree with you. I actually think, you look at what Chet did. He's deserving of the contract that he put together. 15 after coming back after the All-Star break on the pelvis injury, he goes for 15-8 with 2 blocks while shooting 49 clips of 49, 38, and as well. And his plus minus was 169, which was the best mark of any player in the 2025 postseason. So you look at that, you could go down and track his numbers as well. His numbers is tied with 3 players all time to go for 150 made 3-pointers, 250 blocks through their first 2 NBA seasons. And the only other 2 that do that are the anomalies of Victor Wembanyama and Kristaps Porzingis. So I agree, Jay. I agree with you on that. I think it's a run it back model with seeing how it goes. We're going to pay these luxury taxes and get hit upside our head, but we're going to assess who is the ones that we're going to run the long term with. Is it going to be the guard forward model or the guard center model? You got Hardenstein there. You sign him to a good contract. So you do have somebody that you can, move Chet, get some more assets, and then bring another potential center back, like you said, bring the Frenchman back down here and let him run it with Hardenstein. And, it's going to clog up the lane, though. It's going to Shea, the mid-ranger is going to have a little bit more problems in the paint. But no, other than that, I think it's a run it back model, which is putting them in a position then to make a decision on who they're going to keep, and it's going to be a big 2. And I think this is going to look different. What you guys feel me on that?
Yeah, it's I think what hurts teams is when you lose eventually if they lose the Carusos, the Dorts, and all those, because
they're going to have to.
Yeah, because somebody else is going to want to bring that championship pedigree into their locker room. I mean, it's no different than KCP and Bruce Brown and then Jeff Green and all that type of these guys. And now you got Al Horford that's still out there. You got to think he's still around the league because of what? Championship pedigree. So you lose those guys, it really, really hurts your franchise. I'd like to argue sometimes more than the superstar players, because they all know when they all got paid, they looking at you, all right, we got to make it one more run.
We got to make it. We got to hit it. We got to make them make the decision hard. If we come back and run it back and win it,
then they got to be willing to take the luxury.
You got to make it ready. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I think you got to put the pressure on them also by the way that you play. Last thing, we know that the West is making power moves. Everybody in the West is trying to now position themselves on who is going to be the one to unearth what they built, right? The East, on the other side, is dealing with injuries galore and now having to make moves. When you look at like a Boston, they had to totally dismantle their team. Really, it's only Jason Tatum. They're going back to the old Boston team right before, when they clipped us and went with the Paul Pierce
and everybody else.
Everybody else got to go, and they started over. It looks like that's the move that they're doing. Teams like Atlanta, keep your eyes on them. Yeah. Watch them. They made some good moves down there in Atlanta. Got to look at they re-signed the other Wagner, and now they look like they're a lengthy, tall. They got rid of all the super guards. I don't know what the freak they were doing when they drafted
point guard after point guard
in the same year.
Yeah.
It's like, wait a minute, y'all idiotic. I think so. I say watch for Atlanta, watch for Orlando.
I was just gonna say the Magic.
Watch for Orlando. Watch for New York.
Oh yeah, because you seen your boy got the heck, and you know who.
You know what I'm saying?
You know who his boy is.
You know what I'm saying? Watch for the moves. Watch for the moves there. Cleveland will probably look to come back, and we just don't know what they're going to do. Indiana's in trouble. Indiana loses the center, doesn't really replace them. They don't really have a whole bunch of assets. They're very long, and they don't got. They're not going to have Hallie. You know what I mean? So they're in trouble there. Chicago's Doodoo Brown. Milwaukee doesn't know what the heck they want to do, because they've got to make a decision on, are we going to keep Giannis or are we going to move him? So the East looks like it's going back to the Eastern Conference again.
Yeah.
And it's going to be West dominated. Would you agree?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I'm mad about the Chicago Bulls, but that's a conversation for another time.
There's only one person that can save the East, and he saved them the last time. Is LeBron James getting traded from the Lakers to the Knicks. And the only reason I think it's in the pipe is because of what Mike Brown said at his introductory press conference. I don't know if you saw it. He said, he essentially said from the owner, he named him too. Dolan, your boy, what, Worldwide West? Isn't that him?
Yeah, Worldwide West.
Yeah. And he said all the way down to the guy in the locker room cleaning, I want a culture of winning. So he knows there's only one guy that he can get. No, I'm just saying, Strick. With his roster, with his roster, it's only. Come on, man! Y'all hating. I'm done, man. Go to break. Cut it off.
No, with his roster, I'm gonna let you finish.
Nah, man, you know it, and I know it. The Knicks can't get over the hump and be viable championship team.
No,
with
they
little old Brunson and Cat.
They could have.
So they need they need an X factor, and it's LeBron.
No, they if they would have expanded their bench, they could have actually gotten past them. That was a total Thibodeau debacle, and it's sad that he did it. But hey, listen, I'm not going to say that he wouldn't be a great addition, because I think LeBron would, and I hate to even say this because I don't really think he's tough, but I think still what he does on the court would be advantageous for the way that they run and the way that they could run. So that's the way I would see it.
I hate to say this because I don't think he's tough.
I don't think he's tough. He's not New York tough. He's not New York tough.
It's time for a break. Let's go throw it to break.
There it is. Let's get out of here.
Follow Austin Strick and On the Block on Twitter at Austin Orman, eStrick20, and On the Block 93.7. More of On the Block coming up.
Load up on meat and more this spring at The Mercado by Certified Piedmontese, with great selections of T-bones, tomahawks, ribeyes, filet mignon, brisket, sirloin, and so much more. The Mercado has locations at 84th and Havelock, 30th and Yankee Hill, and now 85th and Old Cheney in Lincoln, where you can have $2 draft beer every Thursday night from 4 to 8 p.m. and half-price espresso drinks on Fridays from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. Get to The Mercado today for the best meat in town.
Keep summer green with Judson Baleen and Judson Irrigation. More than 40 years ago, Judson Irrigation started taking in orphans. Lawn sprinkler systems installed by a quickie, cheapy summer job, install them and forget them outfit long forgotten. Call Judson Irrigation They'll never forget you.
Keep summer green. Call Judson Irrigation 402-420-6277 or judsonirrigation.com.
Saturday. Eagle Raceway is open for a full season of dirt track racing action every Saturday night. Don't miss the epic battles on the high banks of Eagle Raceway each Saturday between the Nebraska Septic Sprint Cars, Nebraska Lottery Modifieds, Avid Realty Sport Mods, Valentino's Hobby Stocks, and A1 Iron Stock Cars. Let's go racing. Eagle Raceway, just 10 miles east of Lincoln on O Street. Check out the full schedule at eagleraceway.com.
Have you been injured in an accident and don't know where to turn? You need an attorney you can trust to handle your case with professionalism and compassion. The attorneys at Liberty Law Group understand that a call to an attorney is a call for help. If you've been injured, we want to help you. Liberty Law's experienced attorneys are committed to the pursuit of justice for those injured. Call Liberty Law and find out how we can help you get the compensation you deserve. Call 877-42-LIBERTY. Call the trial attorneys you can trust. 877-42-LIBERTY.
A lot of businesses say they're family focused, but when tough situations in life arise, the business wants anything but your best interests. James Enterprise Incorporated is hiring, and they will always treat their employees like family, just as they do their customers. James Enterprise Incorporated is hiring Class A and B CDL drivers, a shop tech, and a diesel mechanic. If you're looking for a career with a company that goes above and beyond to value you and your family, apply today at jamesenterpriseinc.com or call 402-432-6740.
Are you looking for an exciting new way to put your skills to work? Explore new career options in the fintech industry at Currency, a Sandhills Global company. We offer full-time positions in financial sales, compliance, operations, and other fields. We also offer a 4.5-day work week, an attractive benefits package, and opportunities for advancement. Put your motivation to work and grow with us at Currency. Visit gocurrency.com/careers to learn more.
Lights out? Let LES know where to go. Powerline matches your phone number to your service address so LES can respond to outages faster. Keep your information up to date at les.com/powerline.
Hi, I'm Asher on summer break and about to start 2nd grade. Thanks to awesome people like you who picked Aloe Fiber. They donated $193,000 to schools like mine. This summer, I'm using my fast internet to keep learning, and I can't wait to tell my teacher everything I discovered. So if you're a grown-up picking internet, choose Aloe, because Aloe chooses us, our schools, our town, and our future. Go to aloefiber.com to learn more.
Empire Netting and Fence delivers top-quality netting and fence solutions. From major sports venues to backyard installs and everything in between, coast to coast. We take on tough jobs with grit, integrity, and a strong commitment to safety. Empire is growing, and we're hiring motivated people ready to grow with us. We build each other up, and we're building something big. Think you've got what it takes? Apply now at empire-fence.com. That's empire-fence.com.
Now back to On the Block with Eric Strickland, Jay Foreman, and Austin Orman.
Yeah. Final segment here on the block. This segment is sponsored by League One Volleyball. Love Volleyball Omaha just finished their league as the runner-up, and it was also in their first season. So shout out to them. To renew your season tickets and to secure yours for the first time, visit lovboma.com to make sure that you get your seats and watch the Olympians, national team players, former Huskers, and all of them take the court at Love Volleyball Omaha. So check this out, man. Let's just talk about Nebraska. In a sense, someone jumped in the transfer portal. Jaden Doss. I had high hopes and expectations for Jaden Doss, but he jumps into the transfer portal. We don't know as of yet where it's headed. So I wanted to kind of just last touch on this recruiting and the building of Nebraska and ask this question. First, you can address the Jaden Doss situation. We don't have a whole bunch of time on it, but how do you feel that Nebraska is doing at this point? What are their needs and their gaps to fill? as well as the loss of Jaden Doss? Does it do anything, or do you have enough receivers in that room?
Yeah.
To replace?
You've brought in plenty of them, so I don't think you need to replenish anything. I think that we're actually going to see some position changes coming up in the next couple of weeks. We always find it out. We always find out the position changes and where guys kind of shake out when we get close to Big Ten Media Days, and then obviously in the early stages of fall camp. So I think there's going to be some news on the horizon. Unfortunate. I mean, we were talking during the break about Jaden Doss. He's a guy that got banged up early in his time here. He got moved to defensive back, moved back to wide receiver, and just unfortunate just from a sheer number standpoint. There was a lot of guys on the roster, and playing time is scarce, especially when you bring in experienced transfers. And I think that it's hard to find time for some of these guys that maybe start behind the 8 ball per se because of injuries, because of position change, whatever the case may be. Not everybody can be a Ramir Johnson to where you can change positions multiple times. You can get banged up and have 6 years of longevity to where then you look at it and say, okay, he still gives us our best option in that room. I think the whole case of like Ramir, not to bring Ramir into this, is that Nebraska was thin at places that Ramir played, running back being that one. And they had a couple of other instances that happened. But with Jaden Doss, it's unfortunate because he was a guy that had really high reports, and it just kind of never shook out the right way.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but hopefully, fortunately for him, that he's able to find a place where he can kind of start over, and he's got a ton of eligibility left. I think for him to jump in the portal now, he must have been designated outside of the 105, right? Is that?
Yeah. I think
because I think the portal is closed, right?
No, so they opened up a new portal this year where it's called DSA, Designated Student Athletes, to where it does not count against the 105.
That's exactly what I just said.
That's what I'm saying though. So the portal's not closed. It's only available to guys that now won't count against like wherever he goes.
Right. Yeah.
They won't count against their 105.
Yeah. So I think if he can find somewhere where maybe half the season's like a mini redshirt year.
Do you go down? Like, do you, in this instance, being that you got a lot of eligibility, nowhere in the NIL situation, is this one of those situations that you go to like a North Dakota State or you go somewhere like that, put some stuff on film, or do you go somewhere? Because if you go somewhere else, you're so late in the game right now, you're really going to come in a disadvantage into, fall camp, right? You're literally, you're probably 3rd, 4th, 5th on the depth chart coming in.
Depends on that Quan. that check is that Checkola.
Well,
and the numbers at your position.
Yeah.
If not, then I gotta go somewhere where I'm guaranteed to get 80 looks.
I want some touches.
Well, I get that, but now we're encouraging. Not that you're specifically encouraging that. We're referencing what we all hate: going someplace with the intent to just leave a year later.
Yeah, but
right, you see, so that's the predicament
crazy.
that we're all in, because I completely understand why he would do that.
You want to put some tape?
Yeah, I need game film.
You do that. You do.
I need game film.
You do your stuff on NC 2K25. You do. You build your career. That's exactly what you do. I would say, hey, if I knew I needed a receiver, I'd call him up in the portal and said, listen, we obviously got a scholarship for you. We got a little NIL money. You only going to be here for 5 months. August, September, October, November. That's 4 months, right? If everything goes right, this is what I'm selling you on. I'm going to help you and you help me. Help me win some more games, and I'm going to help you get to wherever you want to be, and then it will get paid more versus you could go somewhere and be doing what we're doing.
You've got those, as we get ready to get out of here, you've got those teams like a Tulane,
sure,
or you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Where Jacksonville State, or someplace Sac State, they got money up there. You can go up there, put up some good numbers, and then look to bounce somewhere else.
Right.
That's usually what the goal is now. If you're a big time,
especially at receiver.
Yeah,
there's a ton of them.
Well, there it is.
Play the pick and roll.
You know who's going to be next? Jay, old school. 937 The Ticket on the block. We'll see y'all mañana.
In today's digital world, technology works great until it doesn't. At Hamilton, we work to keep your business up and running. We are more than an IT company. We're your partner, focused on customized solutions that set you up for success now and in the future. Say goodbye to tech stress and unexpected IT costs when you hire Hamilton. Together, we help you focus on what really matters. Hamilton